Classical historians and geographers have proved that the entire region from Egypt to India used to be called Ethiopia, both countries inclusive. Therefore, the Middle East used to be called Ethiopia, including Jerusalem. Therefore, the original inhabitants of Jerusalem were Ethiopians. Yet still, they have people today who converted in the 7th century, acting as if they were here from the beginning. So they had to make up their own Jewish historians and place them in the 1st century, when in fact they were never there, because they want you to believe that Jesus died 2,000 years ago, when in fact the Apocrypha proves that Jesus is supposed to be here in the latter times. He's even supposed to have a grandson. So let's read what the Most High has to say. It is not only war that can stop war, but men of goodwill, conscious of their mission, can deal with such deadly enemy. Haile Selassie I, the Most High, the King of Zion. The real Zion is Ethiopia. Let's watch.
Became governor of the province. In 1928, he led the troops that killed Empress Zoditu's husband, who was not of royal blood, and became regent. He became emperor on November 2nd, 1930, and was crowned Haile Selassie I, King of Kings.
King of Kings, King of Zion. If you read the Apocrypha, it'll let you know that Jacob is considered the firstborn, even though he came after Abraham and Isaac. Why? Because he is Abraham, he is Isaac. God is the father of himself. Therefore, Haile Selassie is the power of the Trinity. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob.
King of Zion, conquering lion of the seed of Judah, power of the Trinity.
He's the king of Zion, therefore Ethiopia is Zion. But let's watch who's not from Zion. DNA science and the Jewish bloodline. Today, DNA science reveals that almost all of the Jewish people in the world come from Khazaria. They are not of the blood lineage of Abraham and the prophets, but of King Bulan and the pagan peoples of the Caucasus. The ancestors of today's Jewish people are not Israelites, but are Khazarians. Khazaria people in the 8th century converted from paganism to Judaism. In the 10th century, these Khazarian Jewish converts immigrated to Eastern Europe, especially Poland and Lithuania. In 1948, the Khazars, believing themselves to be Jews, arrived in the territory and set up the State of Israel. The people of Israel today are virtually of Khazar, Turkish Mongol stock. The Jews have no genetic claim to the land of Israel and no family connection whatsoever to historical Israel. In other words, that used to be called Ethiopia for dark-skinned people. If you believe in them, you might as well believe in this.
He's not actually maneuvering now. He's floating free. He'll maneuver later on in the spacewalk.
Let's think about it. People actually believe that the moon walk was real. That's like believing that they were the original Jews. So let's watch what they literally are doing and have been doing for centuries.
Are working day and night. Zionists are working day and night to merge the identity of Judaism and Zionism into one.
In other words, they're not here. They were not Ethiopians, but they're trying to act like as they were and as if they were the originators. So let's watch. The Ge'ez language is believed by scholars to be the oldest of all languages, over 5,000 years, making it the oldest of all languages. It's considered the father language. Is Amharic, which comes after Ge'ez, older than Hebrew. Amharic is much older than Hebrew and Arabic. So where's the oldest synagogue in the world? This is the second oldest, built in 1094 in Germany. Out of the top 8, 3 are in Spain. So where's the number 1 oldest synagogue? It was built in 882 after they converted to Judaism. So it was built in Egypt in 882. It's called the Ben Ezra Synagogue. So the Ben Ezra Synagogue is the oldest synagogue in the world and also the longest serving. So there's no older or longer serving synagogue than the Ben Ezra. So what about the Ethiopian Bible? The Ethiopian Bible is the oldest, most complete on earth. Is the Hebrew Bible older than the Ethiopian Bible? It's real simple. Ethiopian Bible is the oldest, most complete on earth. So let's watch the lies that they're portraying. Thanks to this flipping guy right here.
What we refer to as First Enoch. And this was a very popular piece of Jewish literature in the decades.
It's not Jewish literature. It's Ethiopian literature. It's literally called Enoch, the Ethiopian Book of Enoch. It was written in Ge'ez. It's not Jewish. See, that's all this guy's doing. This guy is considered like a scholar, when in fact he's trying to portray everything to be from Hebrew or Jewish or from Greek. No, go to Ethiopia and get the source. Stop trying to change around the story. Weird, man.
Graphia, right? Graphic means writing. Those are two Greek words. And so think of these as false writings, right? That they have an author attributed to them, but we know that that wasn't the author of the actual document. So what we do have, we can trace the earliest portions of what we call First Enoch to both Aramaic writing and style. And so that's
Do you hear? We just said it's an Ethiopian book, so why are you going to Aramaic? In other words, he's trying to say it's from Babylon. So he's giving credit to Enoch, to a pagan place. This guy's weird, but he's considered like the scholar now because he was smarter than some guy that believed in aliens.
important because the books of our Old Testament, we can all trace in their originality to Hebrew.
We just saw that it goes back to Ge'ez. All Bibles are translated out of original tongues, which was written in Ge'ez. It wasn't written in Hebrew. And Ge'ez is much older than Hebrew. But this guy is considered a scholar when he knows nothing.
And we can't do that for Enoch. We can't actually do that for any of the other deuterocanonical books that are, say, in the Catholic Bible either. They all have either an Aramaic or a Greek origination. And that means that...
Man, shut the flip up. He's everything. More lies.
The Bible, or the stories in the Bible, is it the Dead Sea Scrolls or are there older versions?
The Dead Sea Scrolls are the oldest of the Old Testament.
No, we just saw Ethiopia has the oldest version of anything Bible. So it doesn't go back to what you're saying.
So when they were discovered, so they were discovered in 1946 to 1957.
Right, so Ethiopians were living there for thousands of years, but all of a sudden, 2 years before Jewish people from Europe moved there, they discovered Dead Scrolls. And because of that, they were here before the Ethiopians.
And at that point, during their discovery, they pushed back a lot of our previous oldest manuscripts 1,000 years.
You get it? They're trying to say they were here prior to Ethiopia. So the Ethiopian Bible, which is the oldest, most complete on earth, was written around 330. Makes it 323, 322 Common Era. So it's way before anybody else's. Yet still, they're trying to act like it was written in Hebrew first and blah, blah, blah. It's just pure lies. Because they want to act like they're first. So let's listen more of his lies.
Which was a big deal.
How old are they?
They're anywhere between the 3rd century BC and the 1st century BC. So
you get it?
It's kind of tricky because the Dead Sea Scrolls are...
2 years before they moved there, they want to say they found stuff thousands of years before Ethiopia. When in fact the people there were Ethiopians. They weren't from where you're from. So this is where it started. Thomas Lodge. He is in the 16th century. So what is he? He is a modern English writer, first concerned with Jewish religions. Right? So he said he found a manuscript written in Greek from the 11th century. However, the manuscripts are incomplete. So in other words, he made it up. So that's his source. So who did he make up? He made up Josephus. So Josephus' writings provide the first known source for many stories considered as biblical history. So in other words, Thomas Lodge made up this character called Flavious Josephus. And because of his writings, people believe that this guy, who never existed, is the historian. So because of him, Jewish people were here, and because of him, he knows that Jesus was crucified. So let's watch. Who's Thomas Lodge? Thomas Lodge is the second son of the mayor of London. The year before he was born, his father transferred the ownership of the manors to the publisher of the Geneva Bible. So what's the Geneva Bible? The Geneva Bible was written 51 years before the King James Version. So in between that time, they had to basically do the identity theft of Ethiopians. So the Geneva Bible started the Old and New Testament format. So you see, the original Bible was just one book, just like the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha is not in the Old and New Testament format, it's just a book. So these books were supposed to be added into the other books, because the Ethiopian Bible has over 88 books. So as you can see, he wrote his in the 16th century. Then in the 17th century, this guy, William Winston, continued his writing. So he's just following what Thomas Lodge wrote in the 16th century. So you see, Thomas Lodge wrote in 1602. Then Winston did 1737. Then somebody did 2 books in 1847 and 1851. Then someone continued the Flavious Josephus story in 1912. In other words, making it up. So behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Sidon, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. In other words, he knows that these guys are going to lie long time ago. So follow Jah, not man. Don't forget who the King of Kings is, the Most High.
24th, 1891, and was named Ras Tafari Makonnen. His father was a viceroy to the throne and had his son privately tutored in French at the age of 6.
Follow Jah.